I'm Kerin, and this is Lace 101-ish. So this is going to be kind of a non-traditional lace class for anybody who's a little bit curious about knitting lace to begin with. What on earth is lace yarn anyway? Or you've knit lace a little bit but have some questions, this is definitely the forum for you. So the way I'm going to be doing this class is I'll give you some information, and if you have any questions, whether it's about what I was mentioning or something that you've come across just in your own knitting, leave a comment in the blog on Knit Pick Stash and I'll answer it for you, either in the blog or in another video. So, first off, what is lace exactly? In terms of knitting, lace is any fabric that uses an open increase, aka a yarn over, and decreases to create an open airy fabric. So lace panels can be in a cardigan, you can have a lace top on your sock, or you can knit something as glorious as this lovely Rona shawl here that has lots of holes. But it doesn't have to be that intimidating. Big lace projects like this can be a masterful work of art, but you don't have to start there. And that can make it really intimidating because you see, when you think of lace, it's this crazy, intricate piece of work. But even starting with something as simple as the Chinook shawl here, you see that it is actually lace. It has yarn overs, it has holes in it, but it's a much heavier gauge and it's a much simpler pattern. But it's still a big, beautiful, masterful piece. So, the next question is, what is lace yarn? Lace yarn is really described in two ways, and it's all about weight. It's any yarn that's either more than 2,500 yards per pound, and frankly, I can't do that conversion in my head. I'm not expecting you to do it either. Or an easier way to think about it is anything that has over 18 wraps per inch. So what is wraps per inch? This is a little sample of all of our different lace yarns wrapped around a rather crummy ruler. And basically, you just wrap it around a ruler and count how many times it goes around that ruler in every inch. Anything with over 18 wraps is considered lace yarn. But unlike other weights of yarn like worsted or bulky or sport that kind of have a pretty well-defined wraps per inch and a kind of well-defined weight, you get a worsted weight yarn, it's going to be the same weight as other worsted weight yarns. Lace yarn varies dramatically. So anything more than 18 wraps per inch can go all the way even beyond the 31 wraps per inch of alpaca cloud. You can get cobweb lace yarn, which is an incredibly fine single ply yarn, and you could get up to 50 wraps per inch. Don't start there if you haven't knit lace before. That's a little intimidating right there. But with our yarns, we started alpaca cloud with 31 wraps per inch. You move to shimmer and it's 26 wraps per inch. Pretty close to that is shadow with 25. And then gloss is the heaviest lace yarn we have at 21. So all of them are still finer than the technical definition of what lace yarn is. And really, all that means is that you're going to get more yards per pound, you're going to get more yards per ounce, more yards per gram, and a lot more distance out of your ball of yarn. So it's just like any other yarn, it's just finer. Most of our lace yarns are double ply, they're two ply, and that actually helps the stability of the yarn itself, as well as giving it that really nice twist look to it. You're not going to have to worry about it breaking on you. We also have, two of our yarns have silk in them, which adds a lot of stability, and when you block that, it stays, which is really, really nice. So when you're choosing a lace yarn, you want to think, well, first, what's my project going to be? Am I going for the ambitious one? Am I going to try to do a big shawl? Am I going to do a simpler shawl? Am I going to do something small like fingerless mitts or socks? Or am I just going to go triple ply and make a sweater? Because you can do any of those things with lace yarn. And once you've figured out the project, that's when you want to decide what yarn you're going to use. And keeping those things in mind, how heavy the yarns are, what they're going to look like, what the fiber content is that will affect the drape, how it's going to block, those are things to keep in mind. So if you're doing a sweater, this is done in shadow with a little bit of shimmer in there, and this fabric is perfect for a sweater. When it's doubled through most of it, it's the Classic Lines cardigan, with that little stripe of shimmer in there, which adds absolutely no bulk because it's such a fine yarn. And then something like this, which is alpaca cloud, incredibly fine, very airy, perfect for this heirloom quality lace shawl. So picking the yarn is very important for your project, and you want to make sure you're going to get something that's appropriate. If you have any questions about that, be sure to ask, because I can definitely fill you in a lot more on the properties of silk, the properties of wool, how you block each thing differently, and what it's going to do to your overall piece. Then there's other fun things about lace that I'm going to be getting into in later videos. When you get into the real nitty-gritty stuff, noops and bobbles and double yarn overs, 19-time yarn overs like this big guy here, and how to increase, how to decrease, just what it all does, it's kind of confusing, but I promise you it's not as bad as it looks. So join me for the next couple of videos, and I think you'll be really happy you did if lace yarn is your next goal to tackle.